Hello everyone, this is the second lecture of unit number 1 of biopharmaceutics and pharmacokinetic. Myself Dr. Anjana Rani from Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology, Pharmacy Institute, and I am here to deliver a lecture on the topic of mechanism of drug absorption part 1. Okay. This is the first lecture regarding the mechanism of drug absorption. In the previous lecture I have told you about the different types of transport process, transcellular absorption, transport, paracellular transport and the vesicular transport. Okay. So, in this lecture I will discuss about the transcellular transport process. Okay. In case of transcellular transport process, the first process involved is the passive transport process. Okay. So, as the name indicate, it is the passive transport process. So, what do you mean by passive? In this transport process there is no requirement of the energy, that is why this process is called as the passive transport process. Okay. Okay. So, this process do not require the energy other than that of the molecular motion to pass through the lipid bilayer. Okay. And this passive transport process can further be categorized into passive diffusion process, pore transport process, ion pair transport process and the facilitated or mediated diffusion process. Okay. So, first process that is involved in case of passive transport process is the passive diffusion. As the name indicate, it is passive diffusion. So, there will be no requirement of the energy. So, it will be a passive process. Okay. So, this passive diffusion is also known as the non-ionic diffusion. It is also known as non-ionic diffusion, and more than 90% of the drug are getting absorbed with the help of this passive diffusion process. Okay. More than 90% of the drug are following this route for the absorption or for the transport process. Okay. So, the driving force that is involved in this process is the concentration gradient or the electrochemical gradient. Now, a question comes into our mind, what is the concentration gradient or what is the electrochemical gradient? Okay. So, what is the concentration gradient? It is the difference in the drug concentration on either side of the membrane. Okay. Suppose this is the membrane, this is the membrane and a drug has transport from here to here. Okay. The drug should be transported from this point to this point, suppose from A to P. Okay. So, the difference in the concentration of the drug between these two sides, the drug concentration that is present at A point and that is present at B point, the difference between these between the concentration at these 2 points will be known as the concentration gradient or the electrochemical gradient. Okay. And this gradient will act as the driving force for the movement of drug that takes place by the passive diffusion process. Okay. And this passive diffusion process can be expressed by using the Fick's first law of diffusion. So, what does this law states? The Fick's first law of diffusion has given a equation, that is dq upon dt is equal to dak m upon w upon h into cgit minus c. So, what is this? The concentration at GIT minus the concentration in the blood. So, this term is representing the concentration gradient. Okay. This is the difference in the concentration in GIT and the blood. Okay. So, that is why it is the concentration gradient. Okay. This dq upon dt is also called as the rate of drug diffusion, the rate of drug diffusion, and it can be represented by amount per time, amount per time. Okay. Next term is the D. What is this D? It is the diffusion coefficient of the drug. Next term is the A. It is the surface area of the absorbing membrane. Next is the Km by W, means the partition coefficient of the drug between the membrane and the aqueous phase. M represent the membrane and W represent the aqueous phase. And what is CGIT minus C? It is the difference in the concentration of drug in the GI fluid and the plasma or blood. Okay. And what is H? It is the thickness of the membrane that can be represented in the form of length. Okay. So, based upon this equation, that is dq, based upon this equation, that is dq upon dt is equal to dA Km by W upon H multiplied by concentration gradient. Depending upon this equation, we can have certain characteristics of the passive diffusion. So, first characteristic is it is a downhill transport. Downhill means from higher to lower. If it is from lower to higher, then it will be called as the uphill, because it is from the higher to lower. That is why it is called as a downhill transport. So, in the case of passive diffusion, the drug movement takes place from higher concentration to the lower concentration. That is why it is called as the downhill transport. Okay. Now, this passive diffusion is energy independent and non-saturable process. Why it is so? Because as I have told you, in case of passive diffusion, it is a passive process, means there is no requirement of energy. So, it will be independent on the energy. So, that is why it is a energy independent and non-saturable process. Okay. Next is the rate of drug transfer is directly proportional to the concentration gradient. As you can see in this slide, dq upon dt, it is the rate of movement of drug, that is directly proportional to this term, that is the difference between the GIT and the difference between the concentration at GIT and the blood, means the rate of drug transfer or the rate of drug diffusion is directly proportional to the concentration gradient or the electrochemical gradient. Okay. Next characteristic is greater the area and lesser the thickness of the membrane, faster will be the diffusion. Okay. As we can see in this slide, this dq upon dt or the rate of drug diffusion is directly proportional to the A, means area, and it is inversely proportional to the H, means thickness. That is why rate of drug diffusion will increase with the increase in the area and will decrease on increase in the thickness of the membrane. Means the rate of drug diffusion will be proportional to, directly proportional to the area and will be inversely proportional to the thickness of the membrane. Okay. And greater will be the surface area, lesser will be the thickness of the membrane. Okay. And faster will be the drug diffusion. Okay. Next is the equilibrium is attained when the concentration on either side of the membrane become equal. Okay. As I am telling you that in this drug is moving from higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay. Suppose the drug movement takes place here. Okay. There is higher concentration and there is lower concentration. The drug movement takes place from in this direction. Okay. So, when the drug concentration will become same on both the side, then the equilibrium will be attained, and at this equilibrium the concentration on either side of the membrane will become equal. Okay. But this does not happen in case of the passive diffusion. Okay. Next is the greater the membrane to water permeation partition coefficient of the drug, faster will be the absorption. Why? Because the rate of drug diffusion is directly proportional to the membrane water partition coefficient. Okay. That is why greater the membrane water partition coefficient value, faster will be the absorption. Okay. Next characteristic is the unionized species are 3 to 4 times more faster transported as compared to the ionized one. Okay. Last characteristic of passive diffusion is the maintenance of the sink condition. Now, what do you mean by sink condition? This is a very important question in this chapter. What do you mean by sink condition? Okay. So, as I have told you previously that the drug movement takes place in case of passive diffusion from higher concentration to the lower concentration. Okay. And this movement will takes place until the equilibrium is reached. Okay. So, whenever the equilibrium is reached, there will be equal concentration on both of the side and this process should stop, but this does not happen. Okay. The drug movement will not stop. If the movement stops when the equilibrium is achieved, then a lot of proportion will be here that remains in the unabsorbed form. That is why it does not happen. Why? Because when a drug is getting absorbed into the blood, whenever a drug is administering from whenever drug is moving from the GIT to the blood, then the part that is getting absorbed into the blood or that is entered into the blood, that will be swept away with the help of blood in the other body parts. Okay. So, the concentration of drug in the blood will always remain less as compared to the concentration of drug in the GIT. Okay. So, this is because a concentration gradient or an electrochemical gradient will always exist at the absorption site and the absorption process will be continued. Okay. So, this condition is called as the sink condition. Okay. What is the sink condition? It is similar to the sink as that is in our kitchens also. In this water is continuously sweeping from the sink. Okay. So, in this is the GIT concentration and this is the concentration of drug in the blood. Okay. The drug is moving from this GIT to the blood. Okay. So, and this movement should takes place until the equilibrium is reached, and whenever the equilibrium is reached, the concentration at this GIT and the blood will be same, but this does not happen. Why? Because the part of the drug or drug molecule or the concentration of the drug molecule that is reaching the blood will be swept away with the help of blood into the other body parts. That is why the concentration that will be in the blood will remain always less than the concentration of drug in the GIT. Okay. Means the concentration in the GIT will always be greater than the concentration in the blood. Okay. So, there will always electrochemical gradient or concentration gradient will exist always at this point and this drug movement will takes place. Okay. So, this condition is called as the sink condition. Okay. Now, in this equation there are different constants, that is the D, A, K, M by W or H. These constant values we can replace with the another constant that is called as the P. And what is this P? This P can be called as the permeability coefficient. Okay. D, that is the diffusion coefficient, A, area, K, that is the partition coefficient that exists between the membrane and the aqueous phase, and H, it is the thickness of the membrane. These all are the constant, and we can replace the value of these constant by another constant, that is the P, and we can say this constant as the permeability coefficient. Okay. So, what is permeability? This permeability refers to the ease with which a drug can penetrate or diffuse through a membrane. Okay. So, dq upon dt is equal to the P into Cgit. Okay, means the rate of drug diffusion is directly proportional to the permeability as well as the concentration of drug in the GIT. Okay. Because the concentration of drug in the blood is always negligible, is very less as compared to the concentration of drug in the GIT. That is why the Cgit minus C can be replaced with the Cgit. Okay. So, the rate of drug diffusion is directly proportional to the permeability coefficient as well as the drug concentration in the GIT. Okay. So, this equation is representing the first order rate kinetics. That is why in case of passive diffusion, the kinetic process or the rate process that is involved in the first order rate process. Okay. Means the drug will diffuse with the first order rate kinetics. Okay. The next mechanism that is involved in the transport in case of transcellular transport is the pore transport. Now, what is this pore transport? This pore transport is also known as the convective transport, or it can also be called as the bulk flow or the filtration. Okay. So, this mechanism is responsible for the transport of the molecules into the cell through the proper protein channels that are present in the cell membrane. Okay. So, this pore transport is having certain characteristic. First characteristic of this pore transport is the driving force that is involved in the movement of drug is the hydrostatic pressure or the osmotic pressure. Okay. The hydrostatic pressure or the osmotic difference that exists across the membrane, due to which bulk flow of the water along with small solid molecules occurs through the flow through such aqueous channels is involved in the movement of the drug. Okay. So, the water flux that promotes such a transport is called as the solvent drag, that can act as a driving force for the passage of the drug molecule in case of pore transport. Okay. Another characteristic is this pore transport is helpful, or it is very important in the absorption of low molecular weight substances or low molecular size substances. The low molecular weight means the drug substance that are having the molecular weight less than the 100 Dalton. Okay. And the low molecular size means smaller than the diameter of the pore, means generally the water soluble drugs. The water soluble drugs through the narrow or the aqueous filled pores present in the membrane. Okay. Another characteristic is the chain like or the linear compounds of the molecular weight up to 400 Daltons can also be absorbed by this pore transport process or by this filtration process. Okay. So, this is all about the pore transport, that is also known as the convective transport or bulk flow or the filtration. The another transport process that is present in the transcellular transport is the ion pair transport process. Okay. So, as the name indicate, ion pair transport means there will be some pairing of the ions, okay, means the ions will be involved in case of this transport process. So, this transport process is applicable for the quaternary ammonium compounds, for the absorption of quaternary ammonium compounds, for example, benzalkonium chloride, benzalthonium chloride or sulfonic acid, and these quaternary ammonium compounds ionizes under all the pH conditions. Okay. That is why this transport is known as the ion pair transport. Okay. Despite of having very low partition coefficient values, these agents means these quaternary ammonium compounds can penetrate the membrane by forming reversible neutral complexes with endogenous ions of the GIT, for example, the mucin. Means in case of ion pair transport, the drug molecule that can be present in ionized form. It can be anion or it can be cation. If it is in the cationic form, it will form a complex with the anion, and if the drug is present in the anionic form, the drug will form a complex with the cation and a neutral complex will be formed, and this neutral complex can be easily transported across the GI membrane. Okay. So, what happens in the ion pair transport? In case of ion pair transport, this ion pair transport is applicable for the absorption of some quaternary ammonium compounds, for example, benzalkonium chloride, benzethonium chloride or sulfonic acid, and these compounds can ionizes at all the pH values, okay, and at all the pH conditions. That is why these are available in the form of ions, and this transport process is known as the ion pair transport. Okay. And these compounds, despite of having very low value of partition coefficient, they can easily cross the membrane by forming a neutral complex with the endogenous ions of the GIT, for example, the mucin. Okay. And these neutral complexes are having both properties, means these are having the lipophilicity as well as the hydrophilicity or the aqueous solubility. Okay. So, this process or this transport process is known as the ion pair transport. For example, propranolol. This propranolol is a basic drug, and this basic drug will form an ion pair with the oleic acid, and this will be absorbed by the ion pair transport mechanism. Okay. So, this is the diagram that is showing the ion pair transport process. In this process, what is happening? In case of gastrointestinal lumen, the drug is present in the cationic form, and this cationic drug is binding with an endogenous anion. Okay. This endogenous anion will get combined with this drug, and a neutral ion pair complex will be formed, and this ion pair complex can be transported with the help of passive diffusion across this membrane, and when this neutral complex will reach in the blood, it will further dissociates into the drug and the free drug. It will dissociate into the endogenous anion and the free drug. So, this is how a cationic drug is getting transported with the help of ion pair transport process. Okay. Now, this is about the cationic drug. If a drug is in the anionic form, what will happen? If the drug is having anionic form, then it will bind with the, if the drug is in anionic form, then it will bind with the cationic endogenous ion. Okay. and a neutral complex will be formed, and this neutral complex will be absorbed into the blood. Okay. So, this process is called as the ion pair transport process. Okay. In case of ion pair transport, what happens in this, a drug, whether it can be in the cationic form or it can be in the anionic form. Okay. If it is in cationic form, it will bind to the endogenous anion. If it is in the anionic form, it will bind to the endogenous cation, and a neutral ion pair complex will be formed that can be easily transported with the help of passive diffusion process across the membrane, and whenever this complex reaches the blood, then it will again dissociate and the drug will get free from this complex. So, this is how the drug transport takes place through the ion pair transport process. So, what I have discussed in this lecture, I have discussed about the passive transport process, the passive diffusion, the pore transport and the ion pair transport process. Okay. Thank you.